Welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. I suppose you're wondering what you're doing here? You're watching some chess, of course. I have a game that... I say this every time, don't I? I have a game I want to show you. Well, the fact is I really do have a game I want to show you, and it's really good. This one is played between Yusupov and Portish, two outstanding grandmasters. Yusupov at this time, let me double check, this is the Tunis Interzonal 1985. This was when Yusupov was rated number 3. Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov. Garry Kasparov being the Mount Everest, Anatoly Karpov being K2, the second tallest mountain in the world, and Yusupov being the third tallest mountain in the world, Kanchenjunga, I believe is how you pronounce Kanchenjunga. I believe they're all in the Himalayan mountain range in India. So 28,169 feet, the third tallest mountain in the world. I bet you didn't know I knew that, did you? Yeah, well, don't ever ask me again. So this is really upper crust grandmaster chess. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because there is a move in here that you're just not going to believe. You're going to say, huh? No, come on. That's an amateur. That's a rookie. That's a mistake. Let me show you what is not a mistake, even though you're going to think it's a mistake. I get this out of the Yusupov chess course, Build Up Your Chess Beyond the Basics. Number 2. This is a game they played quite a while ago. It is the Queen Gambit that Yusupov throws at Portish, and Portish accepts the gambit. Now, most of the games, you recall, you were there, you watched when Alekin and Capablanca played chess, right, back in the 1930s. Yeah, if you were there, ooh, yeah. They did the Queen Gambit a lot with each other, but most of it was not accepted. Mostly, they played the Queen Gambit declined. Here, Portish plays the accepted. It is fascinating to see how Yusupov plays this Queen Gambit accepted. E4, Knight F6, not a bad move, and then the E5 bump. So, of course, Portish is going to... This is kind of, in a way, Alekhine defense looking type of an opening. It's not the Alekhine defense, of course, but it looks real similar to it. And then he'll put his knight to here. And at this point, if I recall right, he bumped the bishop back to b3, wants to keep his eye on this f7, and now the second knight comes out. Now the coordination and the cooperation of these two knights by Portish is really fun to watch. It's really interesting. They can be a deadly combination. If you're an unwary chess player like myself, I would have got slaughtered by Portish here. Let's see how Yusupov does. Bring the knight out, of course, keeping track of his center pawns because the knight is keeping track of his center pawns. Portish at this point, you can't say his center's weak, but he really is not contesting it as solidly with his pawns and pieces. At this point, the influence is just the piece, the one piece. Well, I mean in the queen. Okay, 2 pieces. I can't count. I flunked at math. He brings his knight out, and this is, you know, bishop g4 pinning the knight. That's so typical of so many openings. And then the lightning strike out of the blue. And I'll give you a hint, it was not the rook to g1. Now, he comes right here and goes blam, check right now. Now that's the move. When I first played through this game, all I could do is sit there with my jaw hitting the floor going, wow, Yusupov, what hast thou done? Remember, this is upper crust chess. This is not just an amateur wanting to hurry up. And how many times have we seen other grandmasters? How many times have we seen the really excellent chess teachers of the world tell us we really need to develop before attacking? Yeah? This just goes against every principle we've ever read in any instructional chess book, including Yusupov's own chess books, right? So what? Now realize, you guys, this is the interzonal tournament. This isn't slapdash fun and games coffeehouse chess. This has serious consequences. And I am making a big deal about this. Watch the justification Yusupov has, though. That's why I wanted to show you this game. Well, of course, he's going to take it. Now, superficially, we're just barely in the opening, man. And he does not have development justification for this attack. True, he puts the knight here to go check. That is one of the continuation moves once you take the f7 with the bishop, but ideally you have the queen side developed also by the time you take the f7 with the bishop. Yeah. Yusupov has none of that. So this is going to be a remarkably interesting game. And Portish just simply put his king back. The theme now, I mean, not only just development, you guys, but really important, the center is going to be vital for both these guys, because Portish can't castle now. So his king is stuck in the center, and how many chess books have we read now where when the king is stuck in the center, you go after him hard, fast, and furious? So this is going to mean we must pay attention to the center. Really, you can't be negligent. And there's no real piece coordination yet at this point with Yusupov. He does get his bishop back. Okay, so he's got his bishop back. Watch what Portish does. Kablam! Now, I told you the cooperation with these two knights. I mean, they are covering a lot of territory around here. And Portish is saying, let's drop the queens right now. Of course. And you go, what do you mean, of course? I mean, of course. Portish will want to exchange the queens. His development will be better. So we begin to see a little bit of internal coherent logic to why Portish brought his queen out early. Ooh, that's another sin. You do not bring the queen out too early before you're developed, because she can be chased all over the place. That is true. With the lack of ability now of castle, Portish would be better off swapping the queens. In the process, take out white's most active piece at this point, and he's got 2 developed pieces. He's got a chance to get a rook in here pretty quick. He is going to have to bump a pawn or 2 to get his other pieces out. That's true. So it makes, if you're going to be rigidly adhering to the rules of chess, always fundamentally, and say, no, I cannot move my queen at all, you would have missed this opportunity. 1, it takes out a center pawn. Now the D file is open, right? 2, it develops his strongest piece. 3, it's going to get rid of white's most active piece, which is also his strongest piece, which is also the greatest threat to the king that has to stay in the center. I know I'm elaborating, but it's really important for us to see the whys and wherefores in so many of these Grandmaster games, or they just go over your head and there's no value to them. What I'm saying is, Portish made a significantly powerful move here. He's not Mickey Mouse here, right? Excellent move. Well, didn't Yusupov know it? Yeah, he knew it. He knew, wait a minute, no, I don't want to swap the queens, because my advantage is in having the queens so that I can go get that central stuck king. Yeah? What's Portish do next? He moves the same piece twice. Oh, another criminal offense. You never moved the same piece twice in the opening. In this case, the justification is way stronger than the rule, the general rule that's never in concrete. He takes the other central pawn. Yeah. Get rid of both of those central pawns of Yusupov. And let's get the queens off the board. Again, now notice how Portish is doing this. It's very well done. He offers to swap the queen by eliminating a central pawn. Declined. Then he takes the other central pawn. He's threatening, although it is guarded, but he is threatening to swap the queens again. Yeah. And now here, he has no option because his queen is in front of his king. Technically, Portish pins Yusupov's queen to the front. It's too bad that wasn't a rook. I know, Portish, too, wished it was a rook. I understand that, but even with the queen, now Yusupov's hand is forced, and it's going to be a game of games. Yeah, now it gets tough. Tougher, I should say. However, he does have that option. The nice thing this does, develops another piece which both players desperately need to do because of the nature of this game, but it also allows him to keep his queen. That is a heads-up move. There are times when you do want to play without your queens. Truly. Not now. Because the queen is such an exquisite attacking unit against a central king. As white, you don't want to swap it. As black, you want him to swap it, right? Just so you know. In other words, you don't just exchange pieces in order to exchange pieces. That's the wrong way to play chess, right? There's got to be a strategic element here. Well, did I not tell you those two knights together are an exquisite, powerful 1-2 punch? in conjunction with the queen, in conjunction in the center, Portish has a real tough position here. True, he can't castle, but holy cow, yeah, and I know. See, again, he's moving an already developed piece twice. That's against all of the laws of chess. And who gives a flying flip? We must read the chessboard. We must understand each situation in each game and when and how to apply the rules. In this instance, these guys are not playing ridiculous chess. No, that's a strong move because the queen really is still in front of the king, and it will help Portish to exchange pieces because he can't castle. You see the strategy. Black's strategy is not White's strategy. Black, if he can exchange, eliminates the power of the attack Yusupov is obviously going to put together. His king can't castle. That screams attack the king. So because of that context, Portish is making sense. Because of that context, Yusupov is making sense on how they're playing this game. Even though there was an absolute wild lightning bolt at the first, it does pose some very interesting problems for Portish. And those begin to show up shortly. Let's keep looking. Nice response. And you say, all they're doing is moving the same two pieces time and again. That's correct, but that's a nice response. Anyway, always exceptions to the chess rules. I can't say that loud enough. Now, the chess rules are there not in order to find an exception, ignore them, and play anti-chess rules and get your butt walloped, because they're there for a reason, too. You gotta have the context in each game. And that just takes practice, you guys. That just takes a lot of playing chess and learning how to develop the intuition to have that sense of when you can safely discard a generalized rule and when you must safely obey that rule. This is a good move. So queen comes to f5. Notice he's not just immediately going back home. Look, the queen is out. Keep her active. Try to get the rest of your army in here, but the queen is out, so try to get her active. And now Yusupov will take advantage of castling, connecting his rooks, and that's going to be an advantage against Portish if Portish doesn't hurry up and get something more going besides his knights and queen, and he does. He opens up the possibility for the bishop, which of course will also help bring out the rooks, so this is a good move. He supports the knight and the queen, so the queen does not have to babysit the knight, so that is a good move too. Very good, very good. And Yusupov, further development. Further development with the idea that he's going to put pressure on the center because Portish is putting pressure on the center. Yusupov would like to keep as many pieces. Portish won't mind trading down to a point. And it's hard to evaluate. It really is. He can't castle the rook to the file, get all your pieces in the game. See? You see how this works. They're getting there. Now it's becoming more tense. So they're playing excellent chess. And always, 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 I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but always just understand, not that you have to do it every game, but just be aware that it's always a good thing to put your rook across from your opponent's king. And that's what this move does. Yes, there's a lot of crap in between the king and the rook. That don't mean diddly. Put the rook across from the king anyway. You can also do that with the rook across from your opponent's queen. Yeah. Now, in the back of his mind, he has to pay attention to that rook. That will change how he plays this game. Put another piece between the king and the rook. Ha! Take that, Artur! And he says, not a problem. Not a problem whatsoever. I've at least got my rook where I want it. And now, approach the opponent's weaknesses on the queen's side. That's a tough move. Now we're beginning to see the problem with not being able to castle. It's beginning to show up slightly. Portish does strike, and he says, okay, let's change. Let's get rid of the bishop. Okay. That should help. It also puts a pawn in between the rook and the king, which is a little bit more difficult to get rid of. True, there is another pawn here, but still the idea is the rook across from the king is always, in principle, a good thing. You don't have to always do that, but you can. Take the weak pawn, check. The king approaches the knight. Oh, after f3, sorry, I skipped a move. After he took the knight, Portish went to a6. Then the knight, yeah, that's what caused, yeah, Portish, I skipped Portish's move, sorry. a6, and then he took. Put the king in check, and the king approached the knight. And now at this point, Yusupov really does something cool. And I have to admit, in my studying of tactics, I would have played this move also. I saw this move. I mean, I don't see very many darn moves by the grandmasters. This one I absolutely saw, and I said, man, if he doesn't do this one, he's a moron. And he did this one. He wouldn't have been a moron if he wouldn't have. I would have been. But still, I'm really thrilled I saw this. Fundamentally take that pawn. Abso-stinking-lutely yes! Why? You say, what? You're going to change a pawn for a piece? You darn tootin' you are. Because he's not going to take that knight. Because the queen will come in. And now look at that position. Yeah, look, guys. A rook to here on the file, and it's curtains. Portish wouldn't have had a prayer. So that knight is perfectly safe. I'm thrilled that I've gotten just barely past the first grade in my tactics understanding, but man, I saw that when it was here, I said, absolutely take that pawn, dude. You can't go to here anyway. You don't want to go to there. And you don't want to take that pawn, even though it's a central pawn. You've got your pawns here, and you've got your open file here. The queen side is being blown open. Blow it open more. You don't have to checkmate a king to win. If you destroy the queen side and zippity-doo-dah your pawns up and get queens, you can win that way. So I was personally quite happy that I saw a tactical move from a grandmaster. Yeah, it's about the first one in 8 years that I've seen, so I'm going to bask in my glory. Yeah, whatever. No, this is a good move. Now Yusupov is putting the pressure onto Portish big time. Now realize, And yeah, see, and now look where his king is. You know, right there on an open file, man. That's dangerous. That's not good. He is not neglecting the center, neither player. But see the difficulty you have if you can't castle like that. So again, further into the game, based on Yusupov's theme of let's go wipe out the queen side, and I will have two avenues of approach through the queen side and through the center, even though Portish really never gave up the center, and he actually eliminated both of Yusupov's central pawns, still he's having difficulty, isn't he? That's one of the things I wanted to point out to you is Black is just having difficulty here in this game because of the way this is working out. The rook will come to A8. You have to do something. Does he, based on all the elaborate yada 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 I've been giving you, look at that position real quick. Does he respond to that threat? Well, you have to respond to every threat, but does he respond by moving the knight? No. Nope, he does not. There is a better move. Grab the file. Man, I mean, the king's on an open file, man. There you go. Check. Right, it's a central open file, too. So, holy cow, the difficulties of not being able to castle. So, he gets the king out of the way. And now, Yusupov's got a wildly powerful open file. And now, B4, and you go, B4. Now see, a moment ago I was so thrilled with myself because I saw the the knight take the A6 pawn, right? This time he pushes the B4 and I go, huh? Shows the difference between a mere wannabe rookie and a real good chess player, doesn't it? Watch what happens. This is good. Rook takes A6. Again, and then of course he pushes the pawn. That's why he pushed the B4, so that he could fork the pieces. So he gets his piece back, right? So the advantage of not moving the knight away is it further weakens the queen side of Portish, right? The reason, again, once again, you don't take with the pawn is because of the way the queen can come in here. Or the rook, pinning the knight to the... Yeah, that is not a fun position to play. So that is why Yusupov knew in his calculation that Portish was going to take it with the rook, not the pawn. Yeah? One of those finesse type things that we will be able to acquire as we proceed to play hundreds of games of chess. Yeah, and so now he does push, and all he can do is go to here, and of course he's going to regain his piece, absolutely. And once more, instead of responding by taking back with the pawn, because he needs as much cover by his king as he can, Portish just bumps the pawn, right? That's all he can do at this point. And then, yeah, the other file, right? I mean, open files, man. Rooks on open files, rooks on partial files, target. I mean, Yusupov has it all in this game, doesn't he? Yeah, for Portish. So this is getting rough. And the bishop will come to c5. Okay, all right. A temporary help. Rook B3, I'll bet you didn't see that, did you? Username saw that. He's the grandmaster in our chess club. He sees everything. He is so good. He probably saw that. I didn't see this one, and it took me a minute to try to grasp, what are you doing, Yusupov? Why would you just throw away a rook? That doesn't make sense. It makes a boatload of sense for the reasons I've already showed you. He can afford to give him his rook if he's stupid enough to take it, because now he's got this. Check. And look at that position. King ain't going to get away from here very quick. He's going to mate him pretty quick, right? So that's why he was perfectly safe to put that rook there. Right? And of course, Portish did not take the rook. Portish moved back to rook a5. And now there's that queen to c4, you know. Yeah. I mean, that c4 square is one of the most important squares in this game. And of course, Yusupov's going to use that c4 square without question. And now he's in trouble. He really doesn't have a lot left. Now, the queen to c4 does give Portish a chance. He stopped guarding the a2 pawn, but that's small consolation. It really doesn't make that big a deal for it, because now, blam. He's willing to exchange sacrifice, lose the exchange, to completely open up the black king, which is a very good move indeed. Well, Portish goes check. It's about all he can do, right? King to h1. Yusupov dodges back. And now Portish does the only other thing he can do, take the rook, which was the intent, for the simple reason that now Yusupov takes this rook, and he has access directly to the black king instantly, anytime he wants. Portish can see this. You notice poor Portish can't get that silly rook into this. Actually, right now, rook to d8. Yeah, no, it wouldn't matter, because now you got the queen to here. Yeah, the game's over. Portish just never did get a chance to get that rook in the game. And what he did is he came up to c7, of course, and then, there you go, right? Check. Notice that the moves of Yusupov are active. What we call active. Another way is aggressive. But he's got the initiative. He doesn't do passive moves like, oh, I think I'll protect the pawn. No, that's moves like I would do. A grandmaster does the right moves, and he goes to here. Check. Yeah, do a forcing move. A forcing move. That's even a better description. Aggressive. Take the initiative. Something like that. So, and you say, well, he loses the passed pawn, and now his rook's in danger. Yeah, big whoop. It doesn't matter. I believe his last move here is... Oh, yeah. Queen a4 check. So his rook was not in danger. And, of course, the king comes up. And then the last move that Yusupov did, which was really a thing of beauty here, realize the bishop with the king takes away a flight square of the king. And so Yusupov continues to build the mating net around that black king. And it was here that Portish, he resigned. He said, you know, that's been fun. It's been a good game. I'm going to call it off. Because he's got so many. I mean, the next move, checkmate here. Queen c4. Notice how his own bishop stops him from having a flight square. That's very valuable. Knight b3. You got another checkmate, right? You go, wow. See the power again of the rook on the open file. It eliminates this entire side of the king to run away. It takes away 3 flight squares altogether. So the other move that he has is not a checkmate, but it's a stymie, stinking tough move right there. Yeah, check. No, it's not checkmate, but black will lose the queen. So, I mean, if you wanted to extend it, you could and go that direction. But, yeah, it was, that's a fantastic game by Yusupov, showing the theme here. And, you know, I know a lot of us are going to try to start doing that bishop takes. Realize one thing, though, the difference between doing it yourself and seeing a grandmaster the caliber of Yusupov do it is exactly that. This is the grandmaster the caliber of Yusupov doing that. He could get away with it before he developed. Myself personally, I have tried to stamp my faith on the teaching that the more pieces you develop outward, the stronger your entire position. That's the kind of chess I would personally be more comfortable with. I'm just saying, that's just me. But had I had the knight out, and had I had this other bishop developed, and that option was still available, then I might have tried it. But right out front, I mean, it was like, what, the fifth move? Right up front, blam, and all he had was a knight. That takes some courage. So anyway, I'm just saying, Yusupov, what a great game, yeah? Fun stuff to see. So, again, we see the effects. Now, in this instance, Portish was forced. We see the effects of not castling. If you had the option of castling, then do it. Castle early, because this is the kind of stuff you run into. They start opening up the center and getting a rook on a file. I mean, you're doomed. You're starting to get hurt quick. That will cut you off from the rest of your pieces and protection if he does it right. That's why when you can, castle. Yeah, that's another great point of this game. So anyway, thanks for watching my Backyard Professor Chess videos. These are a ball to make. I love sifting through all these Grandmaster games and finding really good, instructive ones for you. So there's another one on the repertoire. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. In the meantime, remember, be happy, do well, have fun, be good, be neighborly. Store more water. We need water, and get your supplies up. The world economy market is not doing real good right now. There are issues going on. A word to the wise, winter is coming. For you Game of Thrones watchers, you know what I mean. Now I'm applying it in our life. Winter is coming, so you better get ready. So, in the meantime, let's keep doing some chess and having some fun. And I will see you in the next Backyard Professor Chess videos! Yeah, baby! We're coming at you live! Well, at least through video recordings. Alright, that's enough. Shut up. I'm done. I meant that for me. Not you. You audience, you never have to shut up. The Backyard Professor, he really ought to shut up, especially when he gets done, because you spent all of your time learning this magnificent chess that I showed you, because it was a magnificent game based on magnificent players, and you don't need to listen to me constantly yammer, yak, gab, and blab all day long, because you guys have some chess to study, and I have some chess to study myself. So, if I would kindly shut up already, I'll let you go. In the meantime, see ya! Holy shish kebab.